Welcome to the Build From Here podcast. On this episode, I'm so excited to be introducing you to Cornerstone member Tom Sallows. This is going to be a great story because he's had really an incredible experience. Tom's coming in from it from a different perspective than a lot of people. A lot of people get into get into Cornerstone early. They get in with a young puppy, but then there's also a fair amount of people that they decided not to do Cornerstone to begin with, or they didn't know about Cornerstone to begin with, and then they get down the road and they just want more for their dog. And I think as we hear Tom's story, he's going to get to tell you how he was able to find more for his dog. So very excited about that. Tom also has an outfitting business up in Canada. So this is a really cool story as a whole because we're going to get a whole nother dynamic to what's going on in Canada. What is it like up there? How is he handling the dog thing up there? So it's going to be an incredible episode, and I'm just so honored to be bringing Tom on. So without further ado, welcome aboard, Tom. We're so glad you're here and excited to share your story.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Exciting to be here.
I'm very excited about it. So before we kind of get into dog stuff, man, just tell us who you are, who got you into hunting, how did you get into hunting, and how did you get down to opening up the pheasant sanctuary and all that.
So I'm from Grand Prairie, Alberta. So fairly far north. Not a lot of big cities. Grand Prairie's decent size, but we're a ways from Calgary and Edmonton. But around here, it was all a lot of popular outdoors. Lots of big game hunting, really good bird hunting, and that's just how I started. Typical. Dad loved it, and I loved it because I wanted to be with Dad and our family all hunting season long. We basically went every day and every weekend, and it was just a way of life for us.
And that's great. What big game hunting, all kind of hunting? I mean, I'm sure y'all have got all sorts of game up your way.
Yeah, I mean, you start you're big game hunting, but as a kid, you're shooting grouse. We got lots of them, and then got on a few duck shoots early. And my dad was born and raised in southern Alberta, where they had some pheasant stuff. So I was always intrigued hearing the stories there. But we're far enough north; the pheasants don't do so well here unless you really provide feed and cover for them, etc., with the winters. So that was how that was. But big game was always kind of where we focused. It's how we got our food, and we were really into it. And then around probably about 12, when I was legal, we started getting back into the bird hunting. And as a kid, that's super exciting. So we go on our duck hunts and all that. And I'd hear about Dad when he had dogs. And so that's where that kind of spawned. So I get my first lab when I was around 12, if I remember right, 12 or 13, and trained him up, and he did pretty good. And was just a dog, but he was good in my eyes. Followed Water Dog like so many others before me, and that was a good program. And then my sister needed a dog, so we got a second one that I trained up as well. And we'd take them hunting, and they'd go get them, and they'd do all the fun drills. Baseball and all the tea drills and stuff like that. So I thought I had some pretty good dogs that were just great members of the family.
That's awesome, man. That it's starting at that 12-year-old range reminds me. Actually, I didn't know this movie existed. There's an old movie. It's called Biscuit Eater. Have you ever heard of this movie?
Actually, no.
Oh, anybody listening to this podcast right now needs to find a time to go watch this movie. But it's basically about a young boy who goes and starts training this dog, and it pretty much it shows like a whole journey that we all go on as trainers. But when you're telling me that you got started with your dog at a young age, that just rung that bell there. But it's man, it's such a good movie. I look forward to hearing what you think about that later. But so you got started at 12, doing the dog stuff. And you use Water Dog to train the dog, and then it sounds like you've got another dog. So basically, you're an outdoors family. You grew up in the outdoors. That's your thing. Now you're doing the dog stuff. How was it hunting with that dog? Do you remember your first hunt with the first dog you trained?
Yeah, I mean, the first season for sure. And of course, the first retrieve, it was just out in the middle of the water. It was pretty easy when it was a jump shoot on a pond, and I definitely remember that. It was pretty cold, but he went out there and got it, and we're just really happy. And so, we didn't have a lot of permission on farmland, so we did a lot of the little creeks and ponds. It's just pretty difficult for a dog. But he went and got the ducks for us and would listen. Wow. And he would sit there till I sent them, and that was good enough for us. They were never real far, and nothing like super spectacular to the eye, but I mean, you're crossing creeks and going in there and in the grass and stuff, and it was really good. And but then as I got older, the big games started getting in the way. They overlapped. We'd do a lot of hunting late October when the northerners were coming through and it was cold, but there's always you can only do so much. So we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't bird hunt a ton. We'd get in, 6 or 8 decent shoots a year, the odd field shoot, which was really fun for the dogs and us. A little bit easier, and you could see the dogs running a little bit more and everything. But that was kind of how it was. I wasn't the best shot with a shotgun back then, but we seemed to get it done, and we were all the more happier. And for me, though, it was always the dogs. I always loved watching the dogs. And I mean, when you're that young, the dog is everything to you. That's your best friend, and people forget that, but they're no matter how good of a working dog you have, they're pet 99.9% of the time. So
That's
they got
right.
to be a good member of the family, and you just enjoy every moment of them. It's more about that than having the best dog for hunting in the world to me.
No, that's great. I mean, I think anybody can resonate with that, connect with that because I mean, you're right. I mean, there's only so much time you can hunt, and there's a lot of time spent with the family, and especially as if as you get a family, like I have my kids, they help me with the dogs. We were out there this morning with Violet. We're doing a little bit of training, and they're helping me throw the bumpers, and really they're doing a lot of the training now. I'm more of
Mhm.
just kind of directing it a little bit and they're young, 5 years old and almost 3, and they're
Oh.
able to train this dog, and it's just fun to watch them like learn. That also teaches you on your core area of weaknesses too. When
Mhm.
they start yelling at the dog a certain way, you're like, man, they're modeling after me. Maybe I need to change that. It's a good
Yeah.
reflection point. It's a good reflection
Oh,
point.
you always learn more when you're teaching too, right? Like, and it makes you better. So, but that's kind of
100%.
yeah. That's my story on how I got into the dogs. And then from there, we started doing more big game, more big game. So the bird hunting started to really slow down, and then lost those 2 dogs eventually, and obviously very sad. So that was
Yeah.
hard on me. I by then they were 10, 12 years old, so I'd had them. So you're kind of your
Wow.
early 20s when you lose them, and then other things get in the way, whether it's with your friends, that's playing a lot of sports, obviously doing the big game thing. Uh, and then I decided I was ready for another one. And I got one that it's probably the biggest regret of my life is what happened with him. He was going to be a dog of a lifetime, that one. And he lived a good
Wow.
long life with us, but I started him really good, and I was using water dog and all the Walter stuff again, and he was coming along nice, and that dog was doing things that blew my mind at 9, 10, and 16 weeks old. He was just one of those ones that learned quick, and he loved retrieving so much. It was actually a pleasure to train him, and he was training me along the way. I got him going. I trained him for about a year, really hard, and had him doing everything. And then I started growing the big game outfitting business, and I didn't have time to go hunting anymore with the dogs. So
Yeah.
fortunately, he never really got to hunt other than a few grouse when we were out. But he was an amazing dog. We still did the drills and had fun, and he was just a great member of the family. Life got in the way. I got too busy growing the business, and I didn't hunt birds for a lot of years, and didn't train any more dogs until he passed, and then waited a few years and got married, and me and my wife decided we wanted another dog, and that's how we kind of got into where we got Monty and brought him along and joined Cornerstone, and then got that pheasant stuff all started up. Just dove in, bought a bunch of pheasants, built some big flight pens, and decided, well, if I'm going to do this, and in case somebody ever wants to go, I'm going to need a second dog. So I picked up a dog that was actually started, just because I wanted also a high drive dog, smaller female. I'd never had a female in my life, and so now we got Monty and Shelby, and they're both doing great. We love them, and
Wow.
we're having a lot of fun.
And that's so cool.
hmm
Now with Monty and Shelby, where did Cornerstone come in at that point? Because I am curious to know that because you had been obviously training your dogs in the past with the
hmm
water dog. Everybody knows that. That's like the original, the OG, one of the OG resources
hmm
for dog training.
course.
What made you decide to jump into Cornerstone? Were you looking for something different? Let's talk through that. Figure
Uh,
figure that out.
yeah, so that was based two things. First around Monty and also around my wife. She'd never trained dogs before.
Okay.
So I was kind of trying to teach her, like Monty's her boy, they're each other's world. So I really wanted her to get into that part because the bond just gets better as you work them. And she's a Tammy, she's a hunting fool. And so I really wanted her to start building her basis with that, knowing I had this other one coming. And so we were having a little trouble. I screwed up with Monty pretty good. I had him coming along real good, and it was astonishing. I thought, everyone told me you're crazy to grab an English lab and try to train him for bird hunting. He had a great drive. He was doing double marks, we got him a little later than we wanted. Like I usually like get my pups around 7 weeks, to 8 weeks old, but he was about 20 or 22 when we got him. I found him, good looking dog. He needed a home. Just timing seemed right. So
Yeah.
we got him home, and I started working him. Within a week, I had him retrieving and fun bumpers and everything. And probably within a month, I had him doing, marks out of the retrieve our trainer, however far that shoots 100 yards and double marks. And
Yeah.
he was doing it with enthusiasm. And I thought, holy, I got another beauty here. And then I made the mistake that I probably regret to this day. We went out hunting, and I decided, well, he's getting marks. So I shot a grouse and sent him after that. Well, that did something that you'd think is good, but the drive went through the roof. He ran up to that thing. Of course, it was flopping. He picked it up, and this is so much fun. I don't really want bumpers anymore. so you can imagine trying to train a dog, and you're starting a little bit of baseball or mini T, whatever you want to call it, and he doesn't want to get the bumpers. But every grouse, he's out of control in a sense, right? Like he'll still sit, but he wants to go. He's just about jumping through the truck windshield if he sees one on the road, and it was a lot. And I'm like, I've never seen this before. So he's a really soft, sensitive dog. He's a thinker. I don't like to overwhelm him too much. I don't like pressure. He's, and I'm not talking e-collar pressure. Like there's so many things of pressure, environment, mental, the handler pressure, whatever. So I really wanted something a little bit, I don't want to say gentler because I'd never really used e-collars growing up. But just that more patient approach, to try to get him back, I needed to get that bumper drive back, just so I could do the drills to teach him properly, right? Like he had no problem running and getting chickens and birds, but the last thing I don't like dogs out of control. I want them sitting there and stuff. So I was walking a fine line, and so I reached out to a few people, and then I started seeing your guys' ads and stuff like that. And given that he's an English lab, but it's the show side, but it's still the British stuff that you guys push a little bit more. Just seemed to hit nice. Talked to a few of you guys. I think it was Sarah I was talking to a little bit when I reached out, and it just seemed like a good fit. I like the structure. My wife is very much a structure person, so I like the videos step by step for her. And I figured maybe he's always trying to show off for her. So I figured if she could maybe work him step by step through, even though he had a good basis, maybe we'd kind of rifle through it a little quicker, but it would teach her and him at the same time, and maybe bring that drive back a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough spot to be. When they get a taste of those birds, if you do it a little too early, that can happen, and it becomes a challenge. So that was your problem.
Not easy to train. I can tell you that
really?
now. Yeah, he's so smart, and it's made me a better trainer. There's no doubt.
That's good.
And it's been fun the whole time. And some days he absolutely astonishes me how fast he figures things out, and how he's just he loves problem solving. Like I'll put a mark, I'll throw him a mark, and he's pretty excited now, even if it's just a boring old bumper. But he enjoys the blinds better. Cold blinds, he is pretty darn good.
Wow.
He goes out there, he's slower paced, so and he really uses his nose. And that's where his upland thing is his jam. He loves quartering a field and going into the cover. Once we got that game, I mean, it's real birds, right? And
Yeah.
so that's his thing for sure. And he is he's a character. He's our boy, and he's never going to be that fast, flashy dog, but he lopes out there pretty nice using that nose, and he doesn't really miss birds.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
which
love
is
having a
nice.
dog like that that's got
Mhm.
those good skill sets. So I think a lot, maybe people are asking the question or wondering too. So like with you coming in with it, how old was Monty when you joined Cornerstone?
Uh, he was probably well, he's 3 now, so yeah, he's 2. It would have been last spring kind of thing when we
Okay.
signed up, if I remember right. So so a little over a year with it.
Yeah. So you came in with training with him and all that. What was your approach there? Were you thinking that you would pick up where he was at, or did you go back in
Ah.
training and start over? What did you kind of do, and then how did that go for you?
So again, this is all unique compared to most, but I started about where he was, which was that
Yeah.
like I needed to, like I said, him, I needed to, the dreaded word for lots of people, force fetch. But I mean, I'm a believer that force fetch is kind of the same as, it's just how you do it. You got to
Yeah.
do
Your
hold conditioning,
approach.
force fetch. To me, it's all one, right? Like so I had to be really patient with him. So that's where I started. And I started that, I guess it would have been about last May. I was out guiding black bears, and I had him out at our lodge. And every
Wow.
day he'd get hold conditioning, force fetch, whatever you want to call it, all in one. And he wouldn't even pick up bumpers at the time. I was having to use tennis balls, footballs, frisbees, just to get a mark or two out of him, because I
Wow.
wanted to, and roll it on the ground and just get that chase.
Get him excited.
Just one or two. I had to go, like, I'm a doer, and it was really hard for me to learn on him that less is more. And
Wow.
same with the whole conditioning and all that stuff. Like a couple minutes, I found a few minutes, or sorry, 3 or 4 times a day for like a couple minutes worked way better with him. And I
Yeah,
just
that's the
had to
secret
keep
sauce.
at
You
it.
don't wanna do too much of it, just
Yeah,
the right
yeah,
amount, especially with a dog like that.
yeah, and just certain things that way. So that's where I started. But my plan was that Tammy would take him and go step by step through the whole way to
Yeah.
teach each other. And I thought let's just try this, like let's see how this goes. And there's great videos, like the setup for the videos you guys do and everything is awesome. So she started that and was doing pretty good with it, right from just like he was a puppy. And our weeks would probably go a little bit quicker than the typical puppy, because he had all that, right? Like his recall was unbelievable. She actually taught him that off of Wolter's book, and it was the best recall on a puppy I've ever seen. It's just he loves her
Wow.
so much, right? And so we're very fortunate there. I've always been really good at teaching dogs how to sit and stay. So he had all that basis, but then he healed pretty good and all that stuff. So we went through that pretty quick, and she did about 2 or 3 weeks of that, and then she got super busy at work, uh and then hunting season came, where we're obviously super busy, and she kind of,
Right.
I don't want to say fell off the wagon. She still works with them, but didn't kind of follow, got a few weeks in or whatever, and then we're hunting again, and he was hunting great, and so we kind of skipped ahead again, and she's really getting back into it again now, though, and he's become quite a dog. But yeah, the biggest thing for him was the patience, and then me being able to reach out through the community and just really learn that dog. And what
Right.
made him tick was the thing. So that was the best part about the videos. I watched them all. I binge watched them. Yeah, I'd be out guiding a goat hunt, and I had them downloaded on my phone and whatever. We had the mini Starlink out there, and I'd be watching them in my tent, and
Wow.
I'd be like, okay, that's a good idea. I watched, and this is a way to hit it with him without any collars or any pressure. And here's a good idea, because the drills are the drills. I mean,
Yeah.
there might be modifications, but the drills are the same as Walters did back then, or all these guys. They've just been modified a little bit, and probably better. Like there's information out there everywhere, and I was always a sponge for retriever stuff. It was always my passion, and it was something I took years off of. But when big game hunting, I loved, but now that's my career. So this is for me. This is more for me. So I'm gonna keep it
Yeah.
that way.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. What, obviously, the clicker thing might have been it. Did you guys ever integrate the clicker since y'all started later, or how did that the
Ye-
clicker treat stuff, what did y'all think when you saw that in the video, and did that,
Um. Look.
change anything for how you were approaching?
Yeah, loved it. We did have tried the clicker when I first got him, and it was working pretty good. So he knows the clicker, but I
Right.
transitioned it away from the clicker to a voice because I was always scared I'd forget it, or sometimes I go to train and I'd forget the darn thing. Just going back to my old habits and stuff like that. So I still mark, but
Yeah.
with me it's a good,
Yeah.
and I like that because with him and he's the one who taught me that. I needed to be able to do that because he is such a thinker that, like when I was forcing him to a pot, again, force, but running to a pile,
Yeah. Yeah.
he would get going and then he would kind of slow down so I'd have to give him another back. And then when he'd take it, good. And that would give him the confidence with his low drive that he would actually speed up. And so now I can mark out there at 300 yards if I want. If he's out
Wow.
there and if I see that hesitation, I can just give a good or another back, and he'll, oh yeah, keep going, like I'm doing good. He's pretty sensitive, soft dog.
That makes sense, that makes sense,
Hmm.
and I wanna add this too for some that are listening to this that may be getting into it. So when Tom is mentioning mark, that means essentially with a clicker, you're marking the behavior or you're ticking at that point in time, that's the exact moment that you did good, and that's an indicator that you did the right thing, and they can expect the reward to follow, so that's what marking, uh, is considered. I thought
Hmm.
some might wanna know that, so kinda using all that, how did your approach change to training at all getting into Cornerstone? What did that look like? So, obviously, you and your wife are doing it together. You had what the way we say it, like, in our goal is to teach you how to think like a trainer and give you the
Hmm.
information and develop you and to develop the dog. Obviously, that doesn't we don't think anyone should ever throw out their past experience if you have previous experience. Obviously, get rid of the bad, keep the good,
Hmm.
and add it to
Yeah.
what you've done. So what did that look like for you as kinda blending your previous experience with using Cornerstone?
It was great. It integrated really nice. I mean, like I say, that if you simplify dog training in my eyes, it's a lot of the same stuff. Yes, there's guys out there that use a lot of pressure, in my opinion, too much. There's some people that don't, but there's always pressure and release. We have horses, for example, and actually that taught me a lot about dog training, working those horses for the last bunch of years. There's always a pressure and a release. Now, how you add that pressure is up to you. So the dogs have to figure out how to get that release in a way, or the horse, or whatever, and then they get paid. And like what I liked about you guys is I've never used food before. And then when
Yeah.
I seen CGA with the hot dogs, well, we'll save like the livers out of our big game,
Oh,
and
that's a
we'll
great
make
treat.
liver treats, and they go crazy for them. And with Monty,
I
the
bet they
unique
do.
situation about him having the lower drive for bumpers is I wanted to bring that back up. So I decided I was going to try treats or hot dogs, whatever, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'd never done that before. So when I seen that on that was another attractant to me, just because I was always taught not to use treats because you might, like they say you might put a dog bone in your gun by accident, and you wanted the dog to do it because he had to.
Yeah.
With Monty, I really wanted to get that back, to do it because you love it, and to do it for me, not just because you have to. At some point, they have to do it. It's still a command, but yeah, I just really wanted that patient approach, and I didn't want to be like, I've reached out to other trainers in the past and stuff, but that's pretty intimidating for someone like me that's just trained a few dogs, and I'm doing it with my best bud. These aren't like these no matter what. If the dog never retrieves, he's still gonna be my best friend. He's still gonna be my pet.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna love him and be proud of him and all that stuff. But whereas Cornerstone Community and the lower pressure stance just seemed like a really good fit, in particular for him and for my wife, moving forward with him.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that you ended up finding it because it seemed like that was exactly the perfect fit for what you guys needed, especially
Mhm.
the challenges that you were facing. And yeah, a lot right now. If you just look on the internet, they'd have you believing that the only way to do it is force. But like you said, I think you said something really key there is that your dog was learning to please you and
Mhm.
to seek out reward from you. And that's kind of part of our philosophy at Cornerstone. This isn't there's 2 ways to do it. There's gets to and then there's has to. You can make a dog do something, or
Mhm.
you can be a really good trainer and become a really good trainer and get your dog to do something because it wants to do it. That is always a better option than forcing them to do something.
Mhm.
Because if you force them to do something, if you stop adding that pressure, over time, you're gonna have to keep going back to the pressure.
Mhm.
Versus if the dog wants to do the thing that you're asking it to do, then that's a self-reinforcing cycle because it's seeking the reward, and you'll never have to reinforce it again because it's going to be getting that reward. One aspect of that is please the handler, right? You get treats, and I agree with you on that, the treat stuff. Actually, before we use treats and in Cornerstone, we've always filmed using treats, but back in the day when I was training dogs, before we ever did Cornerstone, I wasn't using treats to begin with, because I was kind of in the same camp as you there and everybody, and that was really just my ignorance. I just did not
Mhm.
know at the time. I thought, "Man, I don't wanna be stuck using treats and a clicker and the duck blind." Now, who wants to that's embarrassing, first of all, and second of all, like, who wants to be doing that? And that was just my ignorance speaking. I didn't realize that it's a process from it starts with developing that association and that reward system with you and the dog. So now the dog knows its job is to please me and I'll give it a reward. And then it goes
Mhm.
from treats to now the retrieve becomes the reward. You're no longer working for a treat, you're working to retrieve and to please me. But the key tie that ties it all together is they come to please you. They work to
Mhm.
please you. And now you've got this deeper bond than if in the old way of training or in the pressure way of training, which is, hey, you're going to do this. If you don't do this, you're going to feel a bunch of pressure until you do it.
Mhm.
Compulsion training. I love the philosophy of getting a dog to work with me instead of working for me. We're a
Mhm.
team. We want to work together. And especially like the dog that you're working, especially when you ran into that situation, you could have forced this whole deal. You could have
Mhm.
force fetched the dog, which is where you're using negative reinforcement to train the dog and made it pick up a bumper. But we all know how that would have gone. Your dog's ears would have been back, its tail would have been between its legs, and it would have reluctantly complied because if it doesn't, it just experiences more pressure. Instead, it sounds like you were able to help old Monty develop a new love for the retrieve and realize, "Hey, this is fun, and it's all about pleasing the handler." So, instead of having a dog that works because it has to, now you've got a dog
Mhm.
that works because it gets to, and I love that part of your story, man. I mean, it's a shame really out there on how many dogs work because they have to, not
Mhm.
because they get to, and there's something beautiful about working because you want to do it versus
Yeah.
have to. Like you said, really the dog training too is for you. This is your outlet. Versus, like, obviously, we have our day job. There's things we have to do, right? We're going
Mhm.
to do them because and you do them rain or shine no matter what, but there's also that whole passion, and I love I love your story as a whole that you're talking about right now because this probably gets back to your original first dog you were training at 12. I can imagine a 12-year-old out there training using that book, it was all passion. You
Mhm.
every day you went it must have been everything was new, everything was exciting, and it was passion, and it seems like Cornerstone was help brings you back to that original passion, which is, "Hey, we're gonna build that strong bond, we're gonna have a great connection with that dog, and we're gonna help it win," and, I just say all that because I know that some that may listen to this may be wondering about the treats, but it's like you said there, it's not something that you have to use all the time. It's something that you can transition to, use a little bit when it makes sense, and then you transition to the retrieve, and,
Mhm.
seems like you guys got a good thing going. So how did Monty kinda transformed from not doing the bumpers because he loved grouse to finding that, "Hey, this is still fun," and so he's probably a good all-around dog, I would say now.
He's a great dog. He is what he is. He's never gonna be like we're in a running hunt test now, and we got two total polar opposite dogs when it comes to that. Like Shelby, she, in my opinion, I got her started. Remember, so the guy did a
Yep.
great job with her. I seen the ad and she just intrigued me so much, and it was everything I'd never tried before in a dog, and I wanted. And We wanted to,
Wow.
because that was another trick I wanted to use with Monty, is bring that competitive in. So when
Yeah.
there's another dog, and then I also wanted to make sure I could teach honoring really
Wow.
good, because my dogs, I don't want them breaking, right?
Right.
And then, so people forget that teaching a dog that loves it. So to your point, if you can make them love it, it's so easy compared to a dog that decides they don't. You can teach
Yeah.
them, but if they love it and that retrieve is the reward, it is the easiest thing. Once they get that, you can teach everything off a love of retrieve. Uh, like for example, I just said breaking my dogs. That's pretty darn important to me.
Yeah.
And that is the easiest thing to teach, even in the highest drive dog, in my opinion. A lot of people disagree with me that have them, but if that dog moves, he doesn't get that retrieve. And he wants that more than anything in the world once he taps into that instinct.
Yeah.
So if you have two dogs sitting there, now Monty's into it because we were patient, and now we have another dog, so that inner competition, and they're both sitting there, and you chuck just a short mark and get them all excited, and the one that moves or whines, send the other dog. That is, like, in my eyes, that's the ultimate denial. And
100%.
and I mean, denials are, I'm learning that pretty quick. I never had that when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, they are something I didn't even know they existed when I was younger. And I mean, I see that's a big thing in the CGA videos. Whether you walk out there and get it yourself, but I think it's another level if you have another dog there. All that
Whole nother
excitement.
level.
Yeah, and I had to really get back to that. My dog still didn't break, but the first time we ever went to a hunt test, and they'd never seen that because, unlike where you guys are from, we don't have anyone to train with here. I'm trying to start some groups up here, but we're quite a ways away from people. We have unlimited grounds, unlimited opportunity that way. So that was another reason for getting a second dog. I needed that for me too, because Monty was less is more, like we talked about earlier. So, but I was finding I was doing too much because I wanted to keep training because I love doing it so much, and I was kind of at times hurt when I realized, oh, like some days I get 2-3 retrieves out of him, and I'm okay. You're done. Like, he's happy, get him back in there. Whereas when he was a bit younger, I probably tried to, and here's pressure again, like in a different way, but I was trying to teach him through just sheer volume, and he was liking it less and less. So, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but yeah, that denial stuff is, I think, is a huge key, and that's another thing with CGA that I forgot to mention that we really like is, it's a long ways for us, but someday we'd love to get it to one of them training weekends or something, because
Yeah.
that's just great. And then the community itself of just on the app, and the Facebook stuff, you can post a video and people are always positive, and then but they'll bounce ideas off you. Have you tried that? Or somebody will ask a question. You could throw your hat in the ring, and everybody's pretty modest from what I've seen, and nobody's saying, oh, this is how you do it, but this is what works for me. And when you combine that many people, because every dog's different, there's a lot of power there with ideas, and something will stick. Something
Oh,
similar
yeah.
will give you an idea that'll stick, and sometimes that's all it takes. You can fight with the dog for months, and then all of a sudden one little new thing, and wow, you unlocked it. Somehow that light bulb goes off, and like a big one for Monty was the big goose bumper. All of a sudden we're out there, and I grabbed one of them and just bought one because I seen it in the store, and it was just laying there, and he ran over there like, what's this? And he started picking it up, and after that, so I threw it a few times, and he had to figure out how to hold it. I'm telling you, his hold got way better after that.
Wow.
Like, it was
Wow.
just crazy. So I don't think that I don't think you need a puppy to train. I don't think it's too old to. There's no such thing. What's the saying? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I totally don't buy that. I've taught plenty of old dogs new things. You can keep teaching them if you have that passion to please you, or whatever they're getting paid with, a treat. Um, and just to be clear, like, I do have e-collars for my dog. I don't really use the the e part too often, but I use the tone. as part of my recall, and they are conditioned just in case I ever have to. Because I mean, we could be walking here and a moose might be out there with a calf, and if that dog takes
Oh
off
yeah.
after that moose, I'm
Y'all
not
got
risking
bears. Y'all got all
losing.
kinds of dangerous things up there for a
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, there is deer, moose, vehicles. If there's a road or something, like I'm not. It's on there. It doesn't mean you have to use it, or if you do, it can be a tool. Like just make sure they're conditioned. But if my dog takes off after a moose, like Shelby did there earlier, she's so fast that at least I stopped her. I probably saved that dog's life. So
Wow.
I don't want to be the one that says e-collars are bad or anything, but if they're used wrong, you can ruin a dog, and I throw them on just for more for safety purposes. But yeah, like they are what they are. You don't need them to train a dog. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that just comes down to philosophy and approach too, and they're definitely
Mhm.
not bad. It
Mhm.
really comes down to what philosophy do you want to have? What approach are you going to have to dog training? What's your method going to be? Is it going to be the force route? And if so, e-collars work really well in that because it's a great tool for negative reinforcement.
Mhm.
Is your approach going to be the cornerstone approach, which is not this is gets to, not has to? And e-collars have their place even within our methodology and philosophy. It's
Mhm.
just how much are you gonna use it? And, one, you're gonna use it way more, right? Because you're compulsion training, forcing the dog to go. The other one's gonna be more I would say you could use it like salt
Mhm.
in something you're baking. You're not gonna use a whole lot of that,
Mhm.
just the right amount, just the right.
Yeah.
Too much and it's
Well,
not good, too little and it's not good either, so use it just the right
yeah,
amount.
and that's the thing. Like I listen to lots of podcasts and stuff on dog training, and especially lately, we've been getting into the hunt test stuff a little bit and trying to dabble in there, see what that world's like for. And we do it more for training possibilities. We can't mimic that stuff at home with no one to train with, right? So that's really important for us now, and we're enjoying doing it together, me and the wife and the dog. But what I liked about CGA most is there's not a lot of. I don't know if there's any pro trainers in CGA, but most of the people, it's like this is my kid basically my hunting buddy that I'm training. So every podcast, just about everyone that believes in e-collars, which is totally fine, they do it for the efficiency and quick because they're like a pro trainer. But if you ask their honest opinion, everyone will say if you can train a dog without it, it'll make you a better trainer and you'll probably have a better product in the long run. Is it going to take you longer? Yeah, but if it's your hunting buddy, your pet, who cares? You got that dog for 10 to 15 years. Like,
That's right.
take your time. Just enjoy the funnest part about all this is training and seeing them learn and you learning as you go and working as a team. So you don't have to have your dog hunting in 9 months. Is there dogs that have? Of course there is.
Yeah.
That's too early, I would say, but there is dogs. Every dog's different and you don't need to do that. But whereas if you're a pro trainer, I see the appeal, or you're running lots of hunt tests and you're doing that. You need to pump those dogs out quicker. So you need the efficiency of the
Yeah.
e-collar. And those guys are professionals. They know how to use them and are very like precise with them, with their timing, the pressure, reading the dog. If it's too much or not, they can dial that in. Whereas if you're just a person picking up a dog for the first time, or like me, even the fourth or fifth time in your life, you're not as good as those guys. So with that stuff, so why not just dedicate yourself to that dog's life and just keep getting slowly better and building it over time.
I think I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point. There's a I don't know, I just feel like there's a general message out there that makes people feel less than if they're not training a certain way, like the way the pros are doing it. But you brought up a really good point, and you've got to ask yourself the question, if I'm not a pro and this is my only dog, or I've got a few dogs, or I'm just not training like they're doing,
Mhm.
should I be training the same way that they're training? I would argue the answer is no. You said there's a good point. They're trying to spit more dogs out faster. The other question is what's the other side of that coin? Well, the reason they're putting dogs out faster, let's say you're paying a trainer $1,200 a month or $1,000 a month. Of course, you want as much as you can get done in as little amount of time as possible, because at a certain point, you're going to cut that off. I mean, unless you just got an unlimited budget and you don't mind paying, 20, 30, $40,000 for your dog to be trained. At a certain point, it's going to be 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. and you're going to have invested $8,000 in this dog, and you want as much as you can get for that. Um,
Mhm.
but that isn't always better, right? That sometimes that other approach, which is like you said, you're committing to the dog. There's a lot to be said for that approach. But also as
Mhm.
a DIYer, if someone's DIYing it, you have to decide what's your armor gonna be, and if you the thing is, if you're a pro trainer, you got 20 dogs you're working probably, give or take, maybe more. If something goes wrong, you put that dog up immediately, you get the next dog out.
Mhm.
And that dog forgets about it by the time you get back to them, or, you have to work through it and you figure that out. But if you're a solo trainer training just a couple of dogs, something goes wrong, you don't really have that luxury of just saying, "All right, I'm putting the dog up. Now I'm training another dog." That could be it for you for the day. You could be totally done. So
Mhm.
it really asks the question for someone sitting here listening to this is, if I'm training my dog myself, what should my approach be? What fits my dog the best? What fits the lifestyle the best? And I would say, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, it's probably better to commit to the long haul with that dog and to take your time and work through the process. There's also something to be said for, like you said, not using the collar. There's nothing wrong with using the collar, but if you don't start there and you bring it in later, if you start with a collar and don't bring it in later, and that's what you're doing from the beginning, odds are you're gonna actually miss some of the greatest moments of training that you could ever miss.
Mhm.
That doesn't
100%.
mean that they won't be frustrating, but there's some moments there to where breakthrough can happen and where you and your dog connect on a level that you've never connected before because you took the time to work through that problem the right way instead of just putting that collar and saying, "I'm just gonna push through this and we'll move on." And granted, you could do that, but there's something about that connection, the bond you build with the dog in the in between there when you
Mhm.
overcome that challenge together. There's there's just something there, and it is strong, and it's worth doing, and then once you've done that, you can always bring it in later just to keep things tuned up and, like we said, light the salt, but I love what you
Mhm.
brought up there because those are really that's a really good perspective, um, on it that I don't think a lot of people have shared. I don't think I've heard many people share what you just shared, on podcast or on any podcast for that matter.
Yeah, like, and I have a good example. Like, I just got back I guess it was last or 2 days ago at midnight. I was over in Saskatoon running some hunt tests, and like Shelby's incredible, and she was again started. I wanted a dog to learn from as well, and commit to. She's only 2 years old, and I'm running her in master test. Now I don't have a clue about hunt tests. We have entered two this year, 2 different weekends. We entered on the deadline one day because I feel like I owe it to that dog. The potential in her is unbelievable. And so we entered and we went down. We had a good time. And I realized the thing of training, but I just entered in everything. We entered Monty and Shelby in junior, but the weekend was and I entered Shelby in senior and master as well. And because I had no clue of the level. I knew what this dog could do here in front of me, but I don't know the rules for hunt tests. I didn't know anything, and I wanted to learn it as fast as I could. And I I didn't expect to pass or whatever. Both dogs got their junior really easily, and the junior
Wow,
test up here
nice.
pretty. That day in particular, the weather was horrible, and it was actually pretty challenging. And it's
Wow.
a little bit set up a little different than the ones in the states, and that's all I had was YouTube videos to kind of watch a couple weeks leading up. But pretty proud of those dogs for passing those, no problem. And uh, the senior test I screwed up. Shelby had a good first series, and then I had her on the land blind, and I didn't understand. They wanted the rules that you had to handle them right to the post or the marker. And I always train my dogs line out there, and then when you get in the area, I just yell find it, and then they start hunting. So I watched on the marking series, the dogs go out there and lots of them would hunt over to the throwing blind. They'd hunt for 5, 6 minutes out there on a mark, and they passed.
Wow.
So I thought, oh, I
Wow.
just got to get her close. She took a beautiful line. She shoulder checked the post on the way by, but she's so fast she blew past it. I stopped her. She turned around, looked at me. I tweeted her in and yelled find it when she got about back to about 5 or 6 yards from it. So she established a hunt. Well, that's an automatic fail, apparently. She picked it up right away. She did like one loop, picked it up, and came back. And I was like, "Oh, good girl, we're through this one." That was a fail, but they've seen a lot of potential in the dog, and they let me run her as the test dog the rest of the time, which is really good of them.
That's
Because
really nice.
we went
That's
with
nice.
yeah, yeah, they were great, amazing, and I met a lot of people through this, and she did really good on the as a test dog. So I knew she was above senior as well. I wasn't, but she was. And I'm
That's
not
so
like
funny.
when I go to a hunt test, I'm different. I don't do it for the ribbon. I didn't really care that she didn't get a ribbon. Like it's nice to post a picture and you're proud of it. We got the junior ones hanging up on our fireplace. And then I realized, you got to get so many passes to become certified. We didn't bother. We just put Monty in senior now because that's the level he's going towards. And
Yeah,
Shelby's she's running master now. We did this past weekend. She's
that's
never
amazing.
actually passed the senior test, but she's running master. She's doing pretty good. She didn't get her ribbon this time, but again, I made some mistakes and she got a little loose. I went down there and trained with some guys with her before and overwhelmed her a little bit, pressured her that way, and she got a little loose by the end of the weekend and had an amazing run going. And then she got the blind, but she got out of sight of me behind a hill a couple times, and that's in our test. I guess that's an automatic fail. It surprised me. I still don't have a bearing on the rules. There's some dogs I wouldn't have passed that passed, and some dogs that passed that I wouldn't have passed just looking from the hunting side of things.
Yeah.
But I just have to learn the game if I decide I want to keep doing it. And that's lots of fun there, but now I kind of lost my train of thought there for a minute. But
Well, that's all, and I'm glad you brought that up because
yeah,
you said you got to learn the game.
yeah,
And that is true. There's definitely the rules, learning the rules and all that. And I've seen some. I'm not big into it, but I've seen a little bit, and there's definitely dogs. I'm like, no, that dog
hmm
doesn't deserve that. But the rules are the rules. So
yeah.
that's
It's
not
a
a dog I
sport,
want to hang
right?
around. Yeah, it's a sport. It's
Yeah,
different, which is funny that it's called hunt test. It should just be called you know, a dog test, working test. But it is, it is what it
yeah,
is. There's a difference between a
yeah,
hunting dog and the testing, and
yeah.
that's
a
pro.
hundred
It's fun
percent.
though.
And it's not bad for your dog. Don't
No,
don't
definitely
don't
not.
get me wrong. It's not like they set up great situations. Now, like you're lining out to 100, 150 yards on some of these blinds and marks and stuff, and that's when's the last time you shot a duck at 100 yards, right? Like you don't, and if it does, you see him glide down, right? And the dogs can
That's
see
right.
it good. But you are challenging yourself, you're challenging your dog, and it is a lot of fun. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn the holes that you can fix, and you're going to meet, most importantly, you're going to meet a lot of other people that are like-minded that you can bounce ideas off of and maybe start groups. And it's something to do. Maybe when you're older, you travel around with your dogs. Like, how fun is that? And just
Absolutely.
go to these and get a little social group going and stuff. So that's kind of where we are if we keep doing it. That we're not going to go super heavy into it, but maybe when we're older, it'll give us something to do if we're retired or whatever. But I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, you get to
yeah,
enjoy it along the way. I mean, and that's awesome that you've got your hunting dogs and now you can go do this as well for fun. And it sounds like you
mhm,
guys have had really an incredible experience. And man, we're so glad that you did decide to join Cornerstone, especially starting with an older dog. And it seems like it's just gone so good for you. That fires me
mhm,
up. I'm glad to hear that Sarah was helpful for you as you were kind of getting into
mhm.
it as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's been lots of fun, and we'll still continue to post videos. We like doing that and hearing what people say, and bouncing ideas off people and seeing everyone else's videos, and maybe I could throw something in there. I've never, like I said, I'm never doing it out of I'm a great trainer or anything. It's just like this might have worked. This might work. It worked
Yeah.
for me years ago, or on this dog, or I seen that, or I talked to someone that said this, and I don't know. That community is pretty important about balancing that, and everybody in that loves their dog, and that's their dog. That's what
Yeah.
I like the best about it. They're a similar situation to us. They want to work with that dog no matter what, and in the end, whether it's a hunt test or a hunt or just you like training, it should be just about getting slowly better and making the best life for that you and that dog that you can.
100%. Well, Thomas, I'm excited, or Tom, I'm excited to have had you on this podcast and to get to share your story. Is there any kind of closing thoughts you would share with someone that maybe was in your shoes when they were thinking about getting
Mhm.
started? Um, Maybe one or two pieces of advice that you would just like, hey, this is what I've learned. Here's a couple of things that I could hand to you that are nuggets that'll help people along the way.
Yeah. Uh, first one, if you're thinking about doing it, getting a dog, especially any kind of dog, but especially a lab, I'm fond of them. Just do it. They're great for your family. This training's fun. Don't get intimidated by it. Just treat them as a pet first and see where you can go with it. Find a program like this, or there's lots of other good ones out there too, but this is a really, really good one, and just follow it and kind of take your time, and never get too far ahead of yourself like I have in the past. I tend to do that a little bit, and just just bounce the information off of people, and you don't have to take anything, but there's tidbits you can get from all sorts of people that might work, and it's a lot of fun. It's well worth getting a dog.
Man, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that, and absolutely, I agree. Jump in. The water's great. You're gonna love it. Once you do it, you'll probably be hooked, as many are.
Hmm.
I know a lot of Cornerstone members end up getting more than one dog down the road. They just love it so much that they're like, "Man, I've just gotta do it again." But also just the
Yeah.
moment you have with your family, like, it's an activity too. Like with me, with my girls, like, we go out and we train the dog. It's a short session, nothing big, but it's moments where, like, they're having fun, and it's just such a unique thing that can be done. Well, Tom, I appreciate you for hopping on the podcast. I'll be sure to also link up, your outfitting business and all that in the
Hmm.
description as well.
Appreciate
If
that.
anybody ever wants to get up there, maybe I will one of these days. I need to make it up to Alberta. I'm sure it's beautiful up there, and I know I think my father-in-law has done some hunting. I don't know if it's been up there, but he's gone on a lot of big game hunting up that way, and so I would love to see that one day. But for anybody that's listening, maybe they could connect up with you guys. And it sounds like you would be the people to know to get on some big game hunting up there. So, but thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time and for
No
hopping on.
problem. Yeah, no problem. One last thing, if there's anyone up in Alberta, or even, like Montana's not that far from us, or something where there's training groups or something, we got time, especially in the winter. We would be willing to travel down for in the winter months to a warmer climate potentially. But anyone up this way that wants to train or anything and maybe hook up in the future, don't be afraid to reach out to me.
Man, that's awesome. And yeah, maybe we'll get the chapter up there rolling in Alberta. I think we had our first chapter in Canada. We just got it kind of launched yesterday, and that's on Ontario. But
Oh yeah,
maybe we'll get one up your way. That
we
would
got to
be
get one
cool
in the
for all
west.
the. That's right. We got to get it over that way, man. I look forward to it. We'll make that happen.